Welcome to Popcorn Planet. We are live.
When there's an injustice, whether it's against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down. Don't sit down on them because they need you.
And we are covering Justice for Johnny. Today was brutal. I'm so glad because I got It's Kim and we got Christopher Melcher here so far to break down today's fascinating breakdown of things. I'm so glad you're here, Christopher, because I got questions. Guys, so here's what happened today. We had two doctors. We had Dr. Kipper finish. Dr. Kipper was the 24/7 concierge doctor who was following Johnny. And then we had the nurse who was working with Dr. Kipper do a 3 hours, Kim? 3 hours of video deposition that
we'll never get back.
Guys, it was brutal. It was brutal. And I have something to play for you, which we'll get there in a second. But I guess this is, yeah.
I have not recently.
Do you recall when you last worked with Dr. Kipper?
Not exactly.
Do you remember the year you stopped working with Dr. Kipper?
No.
And you said that a decision was made that Amber needed nursing care?
Yes.
Who made that decision?
I don't recall. We just keep notes as nurses. I don't recall. According to my notes, I don't recall.
Okay.
I do not recall. I don't recall. No, I don't recall receiving that. I do not recall. I do not recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall.
And Mr. Depp responded, "It's sad. I love you so much, little Debbie." And of course, Kipper too. He was right.
This is the funniest.
I did feel a bit of a sting when his letter, paper trail, arrived.
Hold on, Matt, thank you. Matt Bond helped me edit this together quickly.
So I'm kind of proud of that little fact too. I love you, kid. Even attempting saying thank you to you would be like a monkey trying to fuck a football. It's just simply impossible. I wish things could have ended on a better note. All my love, Nurse Shark, JD. Do you recall receiving this text from Mr. Depp?
I don't.
How do you not receive receiving that letter? Christopher, all right, we got to start there because yes, I was able. Thank you, Matt, for that montage as I was watching. I was like, I need to put this. Bravo, but yeah, perfect ending because how do you not recall that? So Christopher, look, she did that for 3 hours. She did it for 3 hours, and I'm sorry to bore you guys, but that's what we have to live for. So will you smash that like button and support us? My God, today was brutal. And it was brutal because I didn't understand why they kept showing us this. And I was texting with Christopher before the show because I was like, do they have to show us the whole deposition? Is that a Virginia thing? Why couldn't they hello, Ben Shu, why didn't you hire me? I would have snipped the hell out of that to make that snazzy and whatever you wanted to convey, I would have made it happen. Any editor worth $1 would have cut that down, Christopher, and made it easier to digest. Instead, every jury member was just. And then when she did have something of value to say, which Kim, I cut it together with all our notes. 7 minutes out of 3 hours is what we should have watched. Not a 3-hour deposition, but you looked it up. In Virginia, they have the opportunity to play clips. They did not have to play the whole deposition. Christopher, please enlighten me. What do you think Johnny's team was doing, letting us listen to this for so damn long?
Yeah, so we did go back and check the rules in Virginia. The rules for civil procedure. It's actually Rule 4 semicolon 7A5 if everyone wants to look at it. But there's a rules just like there is in California and I'm sure everywhere else that if you are able to play recorded testimony like this is, that you don't have to play the whole thing. You can just play the parts that you believe the jury needs to hear, and the other side can ask for some additional bits to provide context to make it a full or fair statement. If the counsel can't agree on what parts to play, the court can get involved. So you were asking, like, why would an attorney play something like this? I mean, if you wanted to prove that the witness kept saying, I don't recall, of things that you clearly would recall. I mean, this will be in my mind forever with the monkey and the football. You just never forget that. And it's funny. And it's also, I've never heard of this before. And especially if it's addressed to you.
Yeah. Kim, wouldn't you frame that on your wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that. Like, I would frame it. I would put it on my wall if Johnny Depp sent me that, or I would get it cross-stitched into a pillow. Like,
we still could.
Something.
Yeah.
But that's not. This was their witness, so why would they want to show? Because then the little nuggets she did give us, by that logic, which makes sense, to show like an aggressive witness or something. But this is supposed to be their witness, right? This is his nurse.
Yeah. So the only, playing a whole bunch of video of somebody saying I don't know to things that you would definitely recall undermines credibility, and maybe they're going to tie that up later on, but I don't see it. And definitely you'd have to assess, if you're the attorney that's leading this trial, the effect that it has on the jury, because you're boring them to death. It's already horrible sitting there as a jury, but to force them, like, at least we can multitask. We can look at our phones and do stuff. The jury is like force-fed this information 8 hours a day for 3 weeks. It is absolutely painful. And like I was saying last week, you got to put Johnny on the stand. I think it has to happen this week, because the jury is now expecting to see it. And now when you kill him with this, they're going to start wondering, like, why am I listening to tape recorded testimony and not hearing Johnny step from that seat over to this seat and talk?
Well, and she said herself she wasn't going to do the deposition in person, so that we heard that part of it, so she had no time for it. Now, I have the clip, and I think it's important we go through their testimony, because she did actually reveal some interesting things that I think it's important we know, but I don't think the jury is going to remember any of it. Hell, Kim, I just edited it, and I don't remember it because it was so taxing. I really got to say...
I don't recall it either.
Yeah, I got to say, I think this was a huge L for Johnny's team today, and I hate to say it, but I think they completely dropped the ball, unless there's something I don't know legally that Christopher and I are missing, or there was some agreement or something, right, that the teams forced this sort of process. I can't for the life of me figure out why they didn't. There was a 1 minute moment, Christopher, where she's just reading a text quietly, and then the lawyer's like, oh, sorry, hold on. Okay, I think I found it. What the cut it? Like, it's the easiest editing job in the world. An editing assistant could have done a better job. I don't know. And I was saying, lawyers, man, they overcharge. Johnny, I don't know if someone on his team is watching this stuff, but you better start telling them to stop doing this. You could hire an editor overnight. I'm doing this right after the trial. I'm getting this thing cut, Christopher. There's no excuse.
And they did edit the video, right?
Yeah, there's cuts.
There's cuts, so it's not as if they just played it from start to finish. So they obviously didn't have a good handle on it. I don't know who they hired to do this, but they should be looking elsewhere next time. They just wasted the jury's time, and the jury does not like its time being wasted. The
jury's time and their time, right? They only get so much time to bring in the witnesses and do what they got to do. And imagine if they got it out early. I think everyone would be pleased, right? Instead, they wasted everybody's time today, and I can't for the life of me figure it out. And I'm irritated. Hey, lawyer team, somebody, I'll oversee the team for you. I'll do it myself. Hit me up. My God, lawyers. Christopher, if you ever need it, you know who to call. But my God, it's not that hard. It is theatrics. It is presenting the evidence in a good way that's not lying, but at least getting it concise. And man, they whiffed it today. I was really, really disappointed. But let's start with Dr. Kipper. We're going to get to Sean Bett's The Bodyguard. It came at the end. We're going to talk about it briefly. I'm probably going to cut my own video to really properly show you what he said so far tomorrow morning. But the cross is happening first thing tomorrow. So stay tuned for more of the Sean Bett's footage. We'll touch upon it a bit, but I want to go back to these two doctors so we don't lose focus on them, because I think it's important. Dr. Kipper came back, and here's sort of and I'll pause and start as we go, but here's some of the more revealing things that me and the team found the most important to reveal.
The notes reflect here that you met with Miss Heard at that time, correct?
Yes.
Miss Heard tell you that she was concerned about Mr. Depp being violent with her at this conversation?
No.
If she had told you that, is that something you would have documented in these notes?
Yes.
Again, an edit.
Recall Miss Heard seeking...
That was my edit. But important to mention, he does it throughout this whole testimony. Never saw any witness of damage to Heard. Also made it very clear that as a doctor who's there 24/7, he would have noticed, and we would have absolutely made notes of some incidents because that's their job to do, not to cover it up.
Treatment from you for any physical injuries while you were on the island in August 2014. If, go ahead.
No, I don't.
If Ms. Heard had sought treatment from you for injuries, is that something you would have documented?
Yes, I would have.
Is that something you would have remembered her telling you?
Yes. On that particular evening, that I can't remember. But I did see Miss Heard pretty much daily during my time on the island.
Now, this is an important timeline, Kim, everybody watching, because this is the 3-day torture, right? That Amber has said so much damage to herself has happened. I'm using words, guys. Bear with me because we have to be careful. But, you know, what inflicted upon her in this 3-day, torture, etc. But this was also a detox for Johnny that we're going to learn through the testimonies of both doctors that Amber may have sabotaged and was trying to sabotage the whole time.
So did you see her at some point, perhaps, did you see her the next day?
Yes.
And did you observe any injuries to Ms. Heard at that time?
No.
She didn't
No
have
injuries.
any bruises that you observed?
No.
After you met with Mr. Depp that evening of August 17th.
Sorry, I did have to pause. I know a lot of ladies were telling me, and I'm feeling Johnny looked spiffy today. I love the hair pulled back. Nice job, sir.
You go back to his accommodations at some point.
No. No, I think we resolved the issues where we were outside of his little hut, his home.
So you didn't go and attend to him again in his home after that time?
No.
Wait.
Alex, could you please pull up what's been marked as
See,
Kipper
I
Exhibit
forgot to
8?
edit. Even in my mad dash, I made a mistake. Here's some of the brilliant work that
20 hours?
Now, most of the time you had known Mr. Depp or spent with Mr. Depp was while he was in detox Heard.
Sorry, hold on.
Physical evidence that Mr. Depp had abused Ms. Heard.
Was there any physical evidence?
No. Same answer, never.
During the time that you treated Ms. Heard, did she ever seek treatment from you for injuries that appeared to be the result of domestic abuse?
No, she did not.
Did she ever seek treatment from you for any injuries that she told you were caused by Mr. Depp?
No, she did not.
And did Ms. Heard ever tell you that Mr. Depp abused her?
No, she did not.
You never witnessed any physical abuse by Mr. Depp against Ms. Heard during the time that you treated both of them?
No, no, never.
If Ms. Bourne observed that Ms. Heard had any physical injuries, is this something that would have been documented in her patient notes for Ms. Heard?
Yes, absolutely.
Was the tip of the finger found?
It was found.
So this is important all because that 3-day Australia incident is very important. Obviously, he might not have been there for all incidents, but to not, sure, he didn't see any struck, right, moments, but he would have saw the after effect because he's the doctor on site through this event. So to me, this is a huge win. Granted, it's lost in a lot of raw footage, but the bottom line of Dr. Kipper's testimony was there was no injuries inflicted aside from Johnny and his finger.
Found it.
I believe this man was their chef.
Thank you for doing what you do. Justice for Johnny.
Thank you, NJ. That's going straight to the editor fund. So thank you guys for supporting. I'll come back to thank you all in a moment, but really, really grateful. Thank you.
Did not have any observable bruises that you saw.
That's correct.
So again, what you missed there, no observed no injuries.
Ms. Heard had appeared to have been injured. Is this something that you would have documented?
Yes.
I love that question because Christopher, he was being very cagey, right? He's a famous doctor that represents a lot of clients. He's got to be very careful, and it felt very clear that the nurse was following his lead, and they have to be careful what they reveal based on their patients. So there was a lot of I don't recalls, I don't remembers, but it was a very good question of like, well, did she have any injuries? No. Is that something you would have documented had she had any? Of course you would have, right?
If Ms. Heard had any physical injuries, would those have been noted in this portion of the document?
Yes.
That document in hand also was another doctor who basically said she complained about hitting her head and thought she had a concussion, and turned out she didn't. But again, another doctor who saw it also saw nothing. A doctor that worked for Dr. Kipper.
Would those have been noted in this portion of the document?
Yes. Miss Heard, for example, if somebody hurt Miss Heard while she was under the direct care of Miss Borum, and Miss Borum documented that Miss Heard had been injured, she certainly would have reported that to me.
So that was Dr. Kipper. He wasn't as long, but he was pretty long too. That was part 2 of it. But again, could have been more concise is my only complaint. But Christopher, those are some pretty good reveals and testimony from the doctor who was there through the alleged incidents, correct?
Well, yeah, they need to do that, and that's the part of telling this story is sometimes the negative, what didn't you see? Right. So a lot of times you think a trial testimony is what did you see? A lot of this is what didn't you see? And because we already got a taste of this from last week with the magic cream, I had injuries, but I put the magic cream on or the makeup on, and that's why Isaac Baruch allegedly couldn't see it. And, here now we got a medical doctor who knows Amber who's saying, hey, I wasn't told this. If I was told it, I would have remembered it, and I certainly would have documented it. And if the nurse or another medical professional was told of it, they would have documented and told me too. None of that happened. That's really good evidence. And why it couldn't just be cut down to what you just showed us, in a little bit about qualifications and background, maybe wrap it up in a half hour. I don't know. I don't know why they're not really thinking about, to your point, their own time. To forget even, I mean, I'm just always respectful of other people's time. I don't want to waste their time, their lives. But they're on the clock also here by this judge.
They just let the clock run all day. I mean, Kim, you felt it, right? That was insanely frustrating.
Gosh. Yes. And it was like, at least for me taking notes, it was like I would go and then we'd stop because it was just a constant, like, I don't recall. I literally have like a pain in my shoulder right now because it was just stop, start, because it was just so much longer than it needed to be. And it could have been done so much better. It really could have. Just painful.
So irritating. Also, before I forget, if you like my shirt, yes, they came in. No System Knows. My buddy Brian made this amazing design, and you can go catch it over on our store. All proceeds from these Johnny shirts will go to the Crisis Center here in Tampa Bay. So I just wanted a shirt. We also got the Johnny Depp is Innocent shirt up, which I think are really nice. We still got several weeks. If you order now, you should be able to get it before the trial. If you want to throw a party, whatever happens, this is a nice keepsake. And thanks to Brian, you can also check out all our other gear as a little plug to our store. I appreciate Brian going to do that last minute to get it up there because it looks great. Woo woo! Justice for Johnny! Multiple colors, you can pick it up. All right, now I want to go over to the nurse testimony. It's a little bit. I got 7. Basically, I whittled 3 minutes down, 3 hours down to about 7 minutes or so. And so I think there is some good takeaways here, but you got to remember that opening I played you with. I don't recall. She only recalled very randomly or when pressed into a corner. And so here's sort of the gist of what she did recall that she was able to reveal.
And I don't even think I went in at first. Dr. Kipper went in and he had cut his finger and we took him to the emergency room where his finger had been cut.
You recall what the house looked like when you went in?
Yes, it was a mess. I don't remember details, but I remember there was some writing on the wall and I remember a smashed TV.
Do you have any understanding as to how...
That's the first time I've heard someone confirm the smashed TV. There's been always allegations of him drawing in blood something on the wall. But again, she doesn't recall details, but she sort of alludes that maybe that was there. Now this document here...
Cut his finger.
I heard different stories from people.
As to what happened with the finger, she heard different stories. Again, please keep in mind, I edited this. This took a lot more pressing, a lot more pauses in between, but I tried to give you the concise version.
I had heard that Amber threw a bottle of vodka at him. I had heard that he slammed it with a phone.
Take care, darling. I cannot ever thank you enough. All you've done for me. On the junkie side and the broken heart side, you've been a lifesaver. Literally. We'll be seeing each other again, sweetheart. Love you so much, little Debbie. And so does my entire crew. X. You received that text message from Mr. Depp?
According to this, yes. I'm going to cry.
That was the first time we saw emotion through it, as sort of she was giving us nothing, and then she did reveal some emotion about the text, which she clearly remembers, but she keeps saying she does not recall. When you have that sort of conflicting emotion, Christopher, how does that play to the jury as a witness?
Yeah, it's very strange, and you figure as a medical professional, she must have testified something before. Maybe somebody gave her some advice about how to testify, and she took it to the extreme. But it is there. You could see the conflict between her reaction, visible reaction, and then even stated reaction. I'm about to cry on reading something, and then she says, "Well, yeah, apparently I did get it." So whose phone did he send it to? You know, why didn't she have the same reaction when she would have read it on her own phone when it was sent, as opposed to being shown now where she pretends like it's the first time? So I don't understand it. It definitely doesn't help her with her credibility.
Right. Again, which is to me why I'm frustrated with Johnny's team of why would you show it on your end? If you want to just try to do it on the other side, try to wreck the credibility, I guess. But weird waste of time.
Patient expressed frustration with the detox process and with not liking how the phenobarb was making him feel. Initially, he stated he was done with the process and no longer wanted MD and RN services. After processing his feelings and realizing how far he had come, and that part of his wanting to give up was due to tensions between him and his fiancée. Patient, fiancé, RN, and MD came up with a plan for fiancé to take a few days for herself, and patient was willing to continue treatment, but was going to refuse phenobarbital from this point forward. Do you recall tensions between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard at this stage in his detox process?
Yes.
And what do you recall about that?
I recall Johnny feeling that she was trying to interfere.
So she clearly recalls things, right? And it was very interesting that this was the thing she finally recalled. I was like, oh, well, okay, wow. Could you have revealed a little bit more maybe earlier? But she felt Amber was interfering.
In what way did he feel she was trying to interfere?
By reporting to us things that he didn't feel were true.
Why?
So again, yeah, and so is a doctor allowed to share that? Because isn't that hearsay? We just had the Bodyguard on. They were nailing him for saying, Johnny told me this, Johnny told me that. Is a doctor allowed to share what Johnny said in that way where it's not hearsay?
So if the statement is made for the purpose of diagnosis or to seek medical treatment, then we feel that those statements are reliable enough to be introduced, even though they're made outside of court. And the other exception is when it's being used against a party opponent. So any of these witnesses that Johnny calls, they can testify as to statements made by a party opponent, meaning Amber.
Got it.
So I'm not sure exactly what this is going under. This whole phenobarbital, prescription is concerning. I mean, it's hard that he's being treated for substance abuse or addiction, and then he's been given another drug to get off the drugs that he's taking illicitly. I understand that they do that, but that doesn't in any way address the underlying issue that would cause somebody to have a substance abuse problem. And then just suddenly stopping phenobarbital can apparently cause you to have anxiety, hallucinations, and stuff like that. So
I'll say it too. A lot of these doctors, I'm sure, want these clients to forever be in between, because then they get to be on the payroll longer. I mean, I'm not saying they did it, but you never know. But yeah, it's a messy situation they're all in, if we're being honest. No.
Well, that's it. I mean, like I say, I'm certainly no doctor and nobody to question these medical professionals, but it just seems counterintuitive to me to replace one drug with another. and then to
have him
not
around
to
the
address-
have him around the problem that's clearly making him go on drugs is probably not helpful either. If he's going to do a proper detox, he should have been like in a center without Amber around. No, I mean,
that's it. I mean, where are these boundaries? And it's hard when you're working with celebrities and high profile people or high powerful people, is that sometimes the boundaries get ignored. And ordinarily, I think this doctor probably would be saying like, hey, you need to stop working. You need to go into a detox facility. You need to be locked down, basically. And all these other things in your life that are causing you stress, like your fiance or maybe even your job, need to stop so you can focus on getting well before you go back to those things potentially.
Right, and
but
Johnny,
here it's like, oh no, go work, see your fiance, don't take those drugs, take these drugs.
Oh, it's so sad. Well, I mean, Johnny's got to want it too, to be fair. Maybe
Sure.
he wasn't fully ready. We don't know yet, but he was trying something, and yeah, it doesn't feel like this was really working. Let's see.
While RN was visiting patient, fiance came in and tried to start argument with him. Patient was able to stay calm and talk his fiance down. You see that?
I do.
Do you recall the incident reflected in this note?
I do not.
Do you recall any instances where you witnessed Ms. Heard try to start a fight with Mr. Depp?
Yeah.
She like couldn't not answer that one. Yes, she's like, yeah, that'd be too much of a lie to not say yes. I saw her.
How
start
many
with.
instances do you remember?
I don't recall specific numbers.
Do you remember at least one?
Yes.
Do you remember more than one?
Yes.
So I love this one, Christopher, because they backed her into a corner. She's now on record says she remembers 2. So the person who can't recall suddenly is going to be pressed to recall 2 incidents.
More than
Yeah.
2?
I don't recall specific numbers.
What do you remember about that first instance that you can remember?
I remember one night trying to leave the penthouse and Amber standing in the elevator and not letting us leave.
Why wasn't she letting you leave?
Jesus.
She didn't want him to leave.
Had they been fighting previous to that point?
I wasn't there previously.
And what's the other instance you remember?
Now she's going to forget.
I can't remember specifics.
Oh, convenient. So I mean, doesn't that make her first incident almost go down the garbage?
I mean, clearly she remembers enough where she had to admit to it. I'm just wondering, like, what is she doing here? I mean, because, like, you know, hey, if we're doing a job for somebody, we're going to remember big details like that. We're not going to forget stuff like that. And even if she does this all the time with lots of patients, there's certain things that are going to stick out in your mind if you really care about your patient.
No,
and especially if
she's
somebody
not
else
gonna
is
remember.
interfering. Yeah, so I don't really get it. I mean, okay, so far they've gotten out that Amber was, you know, being the dominant aggressor in the relationship, and okay, what else?
Well, let's find out.
You say Ms. Heard would try to instigate him. What do you mean?
I remember an argument or being in there when he was going from room to room trying to remove himself from a situation, and she would just follow him from room to room and not give him his space.
Do you remember seeing that type of behavior on other occasions?
Yes. I only recall what Johnny told me about the conversation. The idea of having to sign a prenup.
But you recall Johnny telling you that Ms. Heard didn't want to sign a prenup.
Yes.
Upon arrival back to apartment, patient discussed feelings of anger and sadness about his relationship. Patient was encouraged to stay away from wife as the relationship is toxic.
Now that's Dr. Kipper's written testimony, admitting that stay away from Amber as the relationship is toxic.
Patient expressed verbal understanding and why they needed to separate. You see that?
Yes.
That's the doctor giving an order. Johnny, your fiance is the problem. She's toxic. You need our prescription. Get a divorce. It's a drastic prescription. I don't understand how they don't remember it. So it's very weird that they're clearly Team Johnny and they're trying to like put a little bit out. You know what I mean? But they won't just go the extra mile and just spill some of the beans. Do you think it's protecting clients? I'll go to you, Chris. I'll ask you, Kim. But is it like protecting clients? Maybe is it like the aura of we can't let our concierge 24/7 high clientele know that we're gonna spill the beans if we're deposed?
That could very well be it, to protect themselves, so they're not just out there giving all these details. But gee, that would stand out. I would think any doctor or medical professional saying like, "Hey, your partner in this relationship is abusive, or you're in a toxic relationship, and we're recommending that you separate," to, for it to get to that level, to show up in this note. I can't imagine how they wouldn't have vivid memories of that happening.
Kim, was this surprising to you as well?
It was, but I think I don't think she's a very good liar. So you can tell she's being selective with what she's saying, and it's probably to save her own butt, or to protect her reputation, or to protect Dr. Kipper or whatever. I think it hurts her though, because we can all tell that she's not being completely honest. We can all tell that there's more to this than what the notes say. And it's disappointing to me. It was disappointing.
All right, now directing your attention to the last part of this note that says 2100. Says here, between shooting, patient was able to express his feeling to RN. He explained that his wife makes him feel that he can never do anything right, and that they cannot have a conversation without her blowing up. Do you see that? And I think you testified you don't recall having this exchange with Mr. Depp.
Correct.
It goes on to say, patient was given positive reinforcement for expressing his feelings. Patient verbalized he knows it's best for them to take a break from each other when the fights start to escalate, but how she will follow him from room to room when he tries to get away. Do you see that? Have you ever personally observed Mr. Depp try to get away from Miss Heard
She's
and
already
her
admitted
then
this.
following him?
Yes.
And it says here, saw them, she wiped me out of everything. Need Adderall in the PRNs. I don't like to be out of stuff on the just in case kind of deal. I can't believe she's got the balls to flat out steal my meds for her fucking debaucheries. Hard game. After all, she is the sister. Ex me.
It wasn't so much her.
So she refused to engage what that is, but there was a weird implication, Kim. I don't know if you got it too, that, I mean, pretty much implying that Johnny's saying the sister was stealing his meds. We already learned yesterday through Kipper's testimony that Amber was also given permission to administer some of those meds while on this detox, which to me is like, what? So again, some shady happening, but of course she doesn't recall, guys, so we don't know, but that's the allege.
Her treatment of me hearing that she didn't want me around from other members.
So she heard from other members that Amber didn't want her around, is another thing she did reveal.
Who did you hear that from?
I don't recall specific. It was other staff, people that we worked with.
Okay.
So I did feel a bit of a sting when his letter, paper trail, arrived
two
on
funnier
the,
ones. So here was the
croak. Just never heard of anyone being fired by their physician before. So I'm kind of proud of that little fact, too.
So he thought he was getting fired by his doctors, which is sad in its own right.
I love you, kid. Even attempting saying thank you to you would be like a monkey trying to fuck a football. It's just simply impossible. I wish things could have ended on a better note. All my love, Nurse Shark, JD. ... Do you recall receiving this text from Mr. Depp?
I don't.
Yeah, you fucking liar. And then we got one more.
And he wrote, "Hey, sweetheart, I'm so sorry about today. I thought you were Steven, whom I'm not particularly enthused about for his loss of loyalty and his loss of memory. He has tried everything to fuck me over as far as traveling with my wife. He also bursts into my fucking house like it's goddamn Grand Central Station. I'm truly sorry if I upset you. If you like, you can give me some morphine to see if my tongue and penis touch. All my love, Jay. Did you receive this text from Mr.
Smile.
Depp?
It appears so.
It appears she forgot that one too.
That we went
I
to-
don't know if I got an email, a text saying, "Give me some morphine to see if my tongue and penis touch." All my love, but yeah, she still doesn't recall that either. Who was the Stephen? Which do we know, Kim? Which Stephen she was referring to?
I think she's referring to the personal assistant, because isn't that the partner of Gina?
Help us, Chad. I'm sorry, there's so much in my head
I
today.
think that's what it is. So, like, the witness who got kicked out, it's her husband.
Okay, I think so too.
I think.
But all right, so there we go. That was the gist of what this nurse gave us today. That felt like there was something of value, but really 3 hours worth. What is your take, Christopher? Was that worth 3 hours of boring the jury and wasting their time?
No, there's no reason why you'd have to have all that other stuff in there. They should have edited it down. The judge should also, be taking a role in this here and managing it. But again, she's got everybody on a time clock. So if that's how they wanted to use their time, hey, that's their decision, but it makes no sense.
Now, I'm going to go more in detail tomorrow about Sean Bett's. I want to give you a quick recap of what we saw though so far. I haven't had time to clip it, but this Sean Bett's is his security guard, and there were some fireworks in that Sean. Let's be clear. I call out trickery on both sides, and I think Sean was being a friend here. He was trying his damnedest to get in as much hearsay as he could throughout. And there was one moment particularly where there were some serious firework exchanges. In fact, let me find it because I want to get your reaction to it. 6:44 is what I'm going to go find. But this moment where he keeps basically referring, when asked questions, will say what Johnny told him. And you could tell, Kim, you were watching, maybe you have this feeling too, the judge was getting pretty upset with him, is the vibe I was getting. At one point, I think she even said, "Sir, you must have testified before. Only speak to what you saw, not to what others told you," is what he kept doing. But this one moment in particular, to me, was the standout moment, if I can get the time code right, of Sean trying his damnedest to get in what he knew, but he had to be careful given that it wasn't, something he saw himself.
After observing several arguments between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, what happened next?
Sorry, I gotta go before it.
She went to throw a water bottle or a plastic cup down the stairs, and it bounced kind of in Johnny's direction, but I ended up getting him, and we, got out of there as soon as possible.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything other than a water bottle?
It was a water bottle or a coffee cup. It was something plastic.
Other than a water bottle or a plastic cup, did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything else?
No, other than what he told me when she threw a broken bottle and sliced his finger.
Sir, to sustain the objection, the jury will strike that testimony. Please just answer the question asked, and when there's an objection, do not speak, okay?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Now, do you think that was intentional, Christopher? Or do you think that was a mistake?
I don't know. Maybe he's nervous, but that kind of crap doesn't help. I mean, it's not just like blurting stuff out and all of a sudden we win. He's got to maintain credibility, and the jury probably is picking up on these rules and the violations of the rules by now, and it's saying like, hey, don't waste our time. Don't try and like blurt a bunch of crap out there so we can hear it and only to be stricken. So he's not doing himself or Johnny any favors by if he's doing it intentionally.
Yeah, I mean, aside from those moments, which I do feel like he was walking that line and crossing it a few other times. The real testimony is when he started showing the photos of Amber, what Amber did to Johnny. As those moments were happening, there was, they did put in evidence. We got to see some of the marks on Johnny, and he talked about, why'd you take these photos? He's like, we needed it as evidence in case Miss Heard made allegations. I was empathetic that we needed to keep it. Apparently Johnny didn't want to. He was the one who was sort of making him let me take these photos, sir, to protect you, because that's his job. He took them at 2 occasions, and we were basically shown one photo, and then we were shown a handful of photos on a second instance that showed some scratch marks and so on. I'll try and look for that time code in a second, but that was clearly the big moment. Aside from him being there and never seeing, also confirming, like the doctor said, never saw any violence towards Amber or the aftermath of what that would have, marks or bruises or anything like that. And he was around those instances pretty much right when they were happening. Never saw anything. Now, is that good testimony, or is that sort of like, well, he's the security guard, he's still Johnny's security guard, they're really tight? Do you think, Christopher, that will help, or they're going to think, well, this guy, I got to take him with a grain of salt?
Well, the photos are great, and it's consistent with when you have somebody who's a victim of domestic violence. They may not want to cooperate. They may not want to make a big deal about it. And especially when it's a man who's at the hands of a woman. Those are hard cases, and sometimes guys don't want to come forward and admit that. So it's great that the security guard, who maybe has a law enforcement background, he understands this stuff, and getting the photographs even over Johnny's protest. So that's very good evidence to show that Johnny's not trying to make a case out of this. He didn't want to highlight this at all. He's again running from the problem. He's not the problem. So that's great evidence. And I think that the security guard, and hopefully they talk to him afterwards, is like, hey, don't put the knife in and start twisting it, because now it does lead to some claims that maybe he's so aligned with Johnny that he would say something false. So they need to preserve his credibility to say, look, he's just a professional. He's just telling what he saw. He's not adding any sauce to it.
Yeah, I mean, overall, and I'll come to you, Kim, too, to get your take, but it was, and I'll try and do a summary tomorrow. So if you haven't already, let me use this time to remind you, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts, smash the like button as well, and leave a comment down below to help the engagement to get these recaps out there. I appreciate all you guys watching and supporting for Justice for Johnny, but we want to obviously give you as much as we can, and I tried my best to get all this clip in there, but the Sean Bett's Bodyguard portion, we will see more of that tomorrow. But just a quick recap, he just like Isaac Baroche, he spoke very nicely of Amber at the beginning. He's like, yeah, she was very nice. I liked her a lot. And then through the journey they were telling, which I thought the Vasquez was doing a good job. She's like, he just starts saying like, I just, the friends were there, Amber's friends, and how did Johnny treat his friends? Well, he was very nice. Eventually he let a few of them live there for free, drive his cars. And then eventually he's like, I just noticed they were taking advantage of him. And he just sort of put it out there. He then recalls that Amber was talking to her friends about a story. All men are idiots. You shouldn't trust that guy. And then catches herself in front of, sorry, Sean, not you. He just observed changes in her. They went from a loving high school couple to arguing. The arguing progressed, and it got worse and worse. Always took place since Amber would start the argument with the things that he was putting out there. He also did a really good point about talking about Johnny's intoxication, how often he would drink, did his demeanor change, and he was like, no, he's like friendly, jovial, Jack Sparrow like you'd want. He's the same when he's drinking or not. He even was like, I wish I could handle my liquor like Johnny does. Never felt like he was out of it. They asked the same question about Amber. He then tried to explain and even said, Christopher, based on my trained law enforcement, I can tell. And then that's when Rottenborn was like, no, you're not an expert. You're not allowed to say things like that. He talked about the fights that he saw, and they talked about the finger, or the big fight that they had in the penthouse, rather, and that's when he also mentioned overhearing Amber say, "He's a fat ass, f you, Johnny, and you too, Sean," when she went and threw that water bottle at him, and that's when he got Jerry Judge, who's no longer with us. That was Johnny's head of security. He died of cancer last year or 2 years ago. They were both there. Jerry pulled him out and said, "We got to get out of here." And then the big takeaway: did you ever see any injuries of Miss Heard? No. Did you see any, injuries on Mr. Depp? She said yes, his finger. He also talked about the swelling on the face. We're like, well, how'd you know? Because I took a photo. And then this photo, because I took the photo. It was really how he told that story. I thought was really strong. They showed the photos as we just saw, and then when the big fight happened before the divorce, or before she filed. Jerry Judge heard screaming. Sean and Jerry heard screaming and obscenities when they got up there. They ran around the bend. When Amber saw us, she had a look of surprise, and she said, "This is the last time you do this to me." Johnny said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Judge grabbed him and said, "We're out of here." We grabbed some computer bags and they left. Didn't observe any injuries on Miss Heard. She wasn't holding her face or doing anything like she was in Hurt. And that was sort of the big takeaway at the end. They never saw him be violent to anyone. Now, cross is happening tomorrow. I imagine we'll get some interesting cross between them. So that's why I may just wait to see how this all nets out with Sean, the bodyguard. So we'll cover that for you soon. So stay tuned. But before I clip this, thoughts from you, Christopher, on this, and I want to come to you, Kim, on things we met. Does that seem like a good? I guess yes. The photos are ultimately worth all of it.
Yeah. This is good background, again, leading up to when Johnny's going to testify, because we have a professional here that's validating his story. So this is good, a live witness, much better than the video stuff.
Kim, anything else you wanted to mention before I clip it that you thought was very important for the fans to know?
I think for me, like when I was watching him, I felt like you could really feel his emotion. I think he's had enough.
You're talking Sean.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, I think he's had enough, and that's why he behaved the way that he did. And a part of me hopes that does transfer to the jury when they look at Nick's statements and they understand just how frustrated all these people are with how long this has gone on. And I'm hoping that will help with basically the unprofessionalism of what he showed today.
Yeah, it was interesting because seeing Sean unleash was different than seeing Isaac unleash. Elaine just let Isaac go, and I think Isaac played it great. Sean just sort of played stoic and didn't really understand and would just, yes, sir, whatever, okay, yep, I'm going to get... But clearly also allegiant to his boss and friend. But I didn't think he was so allegiant that he was lying. I didn't get that vibe at all. I felt like I agree. I felt like he was very... He was... Oh, it was frustrated because he was there and he saw it firsthand, and he probably wouldn't have had that same energy and vibe if he saw Johnny doing it too. I don't think he's there to cover the abuser up. Yeah, all right. Well, that's where I'm going to clip this portion here. I got some more stuff we're going to go through, including alpacas. Johnny Depp alpacas showed up to the courtroom, and some more, as well as get to your comments and questions. Christopher Melcher, always a pleasure to have you here. Make sure you go subscribe to him over on YouTube at Christopher Melcher. Just search it up, as well as It's Kim. Just put it one word, It's Kim, on YouTube, and you'll be able to subscribe to both of these individuals, as well as subscribe here if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that like button, and tell us what you thought. There is a rumor tomorrow, Christopher. You were saying it's coming. And now some other outlets are saying there's a lot of speculation that Mr. Depp himself will step up and testify tomorrow at some point. That is the rumor that many are hearing. That was your prediction, right? You feel like he has to do it soon.
Yeah, it's got to be this week, and I was hoping to be there tomorrow. I just couldn't arrange it with my schedule to be there that long. So I've got to think it's Tuesday or Wednesday he takes a stand.
We will be there for you. May even stream that one. We'll see. Either way, if we're not streaming here, we'll be streaming over on Hugging the Cactus, which we've been showing the whole streams. Thanks again to Steph, the alternate, for hooking that up. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We got more to break down. Become a member. Hit the join button, and you can always catch our member-only after shows where we get into even more details. But want to keep this concise. Thanks for watching, everybody. Live viewers, we're coming right back.